happy shiny puppy. This is Melody Fletcher, and I teach law of attraction and reality creation to highly intellectual people just like you in a way that actually makes some freaking sense. Okay, so today I want to discuss something that's going to take us down the rabbit hole just a little bit. And something that I've been getting a lot of confirmation on this week, that this is what I'm supposed to be talking about. So this is something that greatly excites me and something that I've been getting insights on quite recently, that they've been sort of fine-tuning and clarifying some of this stuff for me. So not old information here at all. Okay, so strap on in because we're going to take a ride. So I've talked about the difference between the third dimension and the fifth dimension before. Yeah, that's where we're going. And explain that it really is just, it's not like we're stepping into a different dimension. It's not like we're walking through a mirror or something like that. What we're doing is we're expanding our awareness. So it's just like the difference between watching something in 2D and 3D. The picture itself doesn't really change. The fundamentals of the picture don't change, but you have a lot more data, a lot more information, and that changes your experience of it. You can have a richer experience in 3D than you can in 2D. Well, so it is with 5D. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're suddenly on a different planet or that physical things are no longer physical. It doesn't mean that you're going to, be walking into walls or walking through walls without realizing it, or, going insane. It really isn't anything scary like that. All it is an expansion of what you can perceive, which means that you're getting more data, which will change your experience of everything because it's a richer experience. So best way that I can describe it is, again, the analogy between watching a 2D movie and a 3D movie, only like way cooler, and you don't have to wear the glasses. So why am I talking about this? Because there's a lot of information that's been coming through for a lot of people lately, and a lot of channels have been talking about this for a while, and it's about this concept of the new earth. Yeah. And there's a lot of information, just like everything. There's a lot of information out there about it, and some of it feels good and some of it doesn't feel so good. And if you haven't come across this idea, it gets talked about in all kinds of different ways, where we're going to be splitting off into two different earths, and those of us who are enlightened are going to be on the new earth, and those of us who are not enlightened are going to be on the other bad earth. Okay, can you tell that there's a bunch of sarcasm in here already? And it's not about the splitting off, because that is going to happen, and it is already happening, but it's about the judgment between the two. And some people have, likened this to the ascension that's in the Bible. I happen to be one of those people who believes that was a prophecy that was talking about the ascension. And then there are going to be those who are left behind. Okay. So enough sarcasm. I'm just going to tell you straight what I've come to the realization of, and what my insights are telling me, and what feels best to me. And you can see if that resonates for you, if you need to fine tune that some more. So there is going to be a splitting. I've actually kind of sensed that happening for years now. There's going to be this splitting, but I didn't really fully understand it either. And I had many of the questions that you did. Are there going to be people left behind? How is that going to work? How do we get on the boat? How do we get into the new earth? Right? And so there was a lot of sort of searching and finding that had to go on there. And as always, the answers are much more benevolent than our fears would have us believe that they might be. So there is a split in consciousness that is happening, or a shift in consciousness is better said. And just like whenever there's a shift in vibration, we all have free will. We all have our own limiting beliefs. We all have, our different energy frequencies. We can either go with it or not. And believe it or not, that is a choice. So if you're conscious enough to be thinking and dreaming of the new earth, and you're wanting that desire, that is a desire that you've uncovered, then chances are very, very good that you're going to be part of that, because it's what you desire and it's already in your consciousness. The people that are not going to shift into that aren't even really aware of it. They're not going to it's not like some mothership is coming down and they're going to pick up a bunch of humans, the chosen ones, and then everyone else is going to be like, no, take me with you. It's not like that. If you've ever experienced a shift in your vibration and then people started to sort of gravitate out of your reality, like your job may have gravitated out and people wanted to gravitate out, and you know, you just kind of think, oh gosh, so and so, I haven't heard from them for ages, and it's not really even a big deal. It's more like an afterthought. It's going to be more like that. There might be people who gravitate out of your reality because of this massive shift that you are undergoing right now, by the way. So if you're getting the shit kicked out of you in some ways, that's why. Yeah. So it really is going to be much more gentle than that. And those people left behind, they're not going to be aware of other people either that are sort of leaving. You know, and yes, some people are going to leave through death. Some people are also going to leave just because they're wanting to, you know, live in a new body, or because they're wanting to experience this from the other side, or whatever. The choices are infinite. The reasons for these choices are infinite. So there's nothing negative about it. But if you're hearing about this already and you're thinking about it and there's something that resonates within you, this is not some warning that, you know, if you don't get on the boat, I've seen that warning, you know, if you don't do something now, you're going to miss the new earth and you're going to be left behind. That's absolutely not going to happen. And you can't really miss it because it isn't like a cutoff in time where either you make it or you don't make it. Just like any energy shift at any time, people can make it. So what are you going to experience if you're on the new earth? You're going to experience an awakening of humanity. You're going to experience an enlightenment of humanity. You're going to experience a falling away of fear, both on a personal and on a global level. You're going to experience people cooperating rather than being in competition with each other. You're going to experience people sort of going, wait, why did we hate each other? God, that just doesn't make sense anymore. You're going to experience people falling in love with the planet again, falling in love with each other, falling in love with themselves. You're going to experience 1,000 years of peace. You're going to experience health, vitality, youthing rather than aging. You're going to experience the end of sickness. You're going to experience the end of poverty. You're going to experience what you've always dreamt of, your wildest dream, and then 10x it. And those people who are not yet ready to experience it because it scares the shit out of them, because their fears are still telling them that that's a bad thing, they're not going to experience that, not at the same time as you. But that doesn't mean that they can't always come and join. And at that point, they may have popped out of your reality. They could pop back in. So no one's going to be left behind permanently. Yeah? But all that's happening is that there's an acceleration of this energy shifting. The energy is getting faster and faster and higher. And there is going to be this sort of critical mass, and we're reaching it as we speak. So that's why you're feeling all this pressure and all this. And as we swap over, those changes are going to be made. And you can see those changes happening already. You can see the purging of the negative energy. You can see the purging of the fear everywhere. That's what's happening. It's kind of a volatile time. But as somebody who's gone through some, you know, really gnarly plant medicines and gone through the purging of crap, both literally and figuratively, I can tell you that this is exactly what it feels like. Yeah, this is just a slowed down version of that. So don't be afraid for yourself. Don't be afraid for your loved ones. Don't be afraid of what is to come. So why am I talking about this right now, and what are the insights that I've gotten that are personal to me and hopefully personal to you as well coming up? Well, here they are. So as many of you know, I have been feverishly, but happily, but feverishly working on my next big project, which is not a book this time. It is a program called Reality Academy. And in fact, many of you have already signed up for the waiting list. If you haven't yet and you want to after this video, then there'll be a link below here where you can sign up for the waiting list. You can watch a cool video trailer and sign up for the waiting list if you want to. But as I'm working on that, it is morphing into something that I had not fully expected, even though it makes total perfect sense. I ran a beta test of this program last year. It was super successful and a lot of fun and really, really valuable for all the participants. And somehow it's becoming 10x. Like that value is becoming 10x because what it is a program. My intention for it was a program that would help people to understand how to shift out of their negative limiting beliefs, to understand that process for themselves so they can self-manage that, so they don't necessarily always have to go to a coach to help them do that. And that is still what it is. Absolutely. I also wanted it to be a place where people can get support from each other, and it's really a program where they can truly learn experientially and theoretically, but mostly experientially, like how to do this. And what it's becoming now is so much more than that. It is absolutely an accelerated growth program where people will, yes, they will get that understanding and they will get that experience, but on a completely different level than I ever knew could happen. And this isn't because I'm so amazing, even though I fucking am, people. It's not because of me. It's because of this time right now. And that's what I'm understanding, is that now something is possible that has never been possible before. And that is the acceleration of this growth, the acceleration of this learning, the acceleration of the shifting, you know, and to be part of this new earth. And again, not a warning. Oh God, not a warning. But really what's required is that we raise our vibration, which means that we get rid of the limiting beliefs, the fear, the powerlessness. And instead of taking years to do that, it is now possible to sort of, I'm going to use some words that are weird for me, but to purge your karma, to get rid of your karma, basically, to get rid of the limiting beliefs, to just jump into a completely different frequency in a very short amount of time. And what I am downloading, and what I'm in the process of downloading right now, I'm sort of on the finishing stages of it, but I'm in the process of downloading right now, is an absolute detailed technical roadmap on how to do that in a very short amount of time, so that you don't have to go digging anymore, so that you don't have to sift through your childhood anymore. And even though I knew some of that a year ago, it is now getting to the level where it is now faster and easier than it's ever been before. And so why does it excite me? Well, because I'm understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing right now in this time, as we're going through the shift into the new earth, into 5D. I'm here to support those who are waking up to this by giving them some really fucking detailed instructions on how to, with cursing, on how to, cross that bridge from the third to the fifth dimension, and to do it quickly and to do it with as little discomfort as possible. And that doesn't mean I'm here for everybody, but for those who resonate with that, and for those who need to understand intellectually how it really works, who can't just go on a need-to-know basis or a faith-based basis. Just have faith, it'll be fine. There are those of us who are like, no, I need to know how the fuck it works before I'm willing to engage with this, before I can really allow this to happen. And that's what's coming through in a deeper, more detailed way than I ever thought possible. And how does it involve you? Well, God, hopefully, if you've been listening to me for a while, this excites you and you're ready for this, and you've actually been asking for this, and this video is the answer to a question you've been asking. So you can let me know in the comments if it is. And like I said, I'll put the link below if you want to sign up for the waiting list of Reality Academy, so you make sure you don't miss it when it comes out. And I am sort of in the finishing stages, although I can't give you a date on when it's going to be done, because it's a download, people, and it is, it's big. So I'm doing my best to just put it all together, put all the puzzle pieces together as they show up. And I've almost got the complete picture, and holy shit. It's just like when I wrote my book, as I wrote it, I was the first to read it, and it took me a month to write it, and it was really like taking dictation. And I got so excited as I was reading it because it made perfect sense, and I could see how all of this had been applied in my coaching sessions with my clients, but I had never seen it laid out like this before. And this is kind of the same thing, but again, to a completely different exponential degree. It's to the nth degree. So if you are a person who really likes to take things apart and needs to understand how things work and things need to make sense to you, and maybe you're the engineer who took things apart and needed to know how it worked, or you're the scientist, or you're the doctor, or you're just a thinker and you're an overthinker, then hopefully this will excite you as much as it does me, because that's exactly who I am. I'm I am my best customer. I'm my first customer, basically. So yeah, so that's where we're at right now. The new Earth is coming. It's on its way. It's happening right now. There's nothing you need to do to jump on it except for follow your intuition. Keep following that voice that brought you here, that brought you to this place where you're listening to this video, and keep going with what feels right. Until next week, happy shiny puppy hugs, and thank you for bringing your light to the world. I could not possibly mean that any more than I do. Until next week, when I'll mean it even more. Bye!